Welcome back to Hamburger Theater. Before I get started, I really have to finish my taxes, so if you'll just bear with me for a moment, it'll be over pretty soon. So sorry, but I need to do this. Roll it, Bobby.
I did my job. Pay me and let me get the hell out of here?
Kiss my ass.
Braun is perhaps the world's leading expert in laser weaponry.
You see, with the Weerbeck diamond and my laser, I can create a nuclear weapon. But whoever uses it can start
World War III.
I'm a wanted man in Cavando. They want to cut my head off.
Execution is at dawn tomorrow.
I don't remember a trial.
Ha! They're going to cut off your head, mañana.
Who do you work for?
Very dangerous man. Hunter tracker. Soldier of fortune. You name it.
I intend to kill you and rescue the professor and the girl.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend, I'm told.
Not this girl.
Okay, that's it. I'm done. It took me longer than last time, but pretty good speed, I would say. Oh, there's a questionnaire on the back I have to fill out. Please illustrate a mission statement in 750 words or less. Mission statement? Bobby, you never told me that we had to write a mission statement. I don't even know what that is. You keep using that word. What does that mean? Podcast. This is radio. Why would you come up with a different word for the same thing? Whatever. We'll talk about that later. Laser Mission is one of those purely straightforward action flicks. You're in it for the fighting, and that's what it gives you. You show up for the fighting, the action, that's it. That's what it gives you. You get action and you get fighting. It tries to do other things, but just leave your expectations at the door. And if you're listening to this episode right now, which of course you are, then you should know sometimes in an action movie, you'll expect to feel disappointed in the level of action in an action movie, but this one, it delivers. A freelancing spy and/or hobo with a surprisingly convincing fake name, Michael Gold, goes on a super secret mission to either Cuba or some African country to find a scientist who lost his daughter, but also needs to find a rare diamond, which sounds cooler, so he did that first, leading to a deep psychological regret that would last for the rest of his life. Meanwhile, Michael Gold finds his daughter for him and looks for the now kidnapped scientist, while trying to stay alive and convince the lady he grabbed that her father is actually alive while killing all those who oppose Michael Gold, while still having some fun along the way. Laser Mission is a balls-to-the-wall action movie. Simple as that. The production quality is kind of what you would expect from a late 80s, early 90s low-budget flick, but it certainly doesn't make the eyes bleed. That starts at least a couple days after. But it goes away. The biggest problem in Laser Mission is the dialogue. At first glance, it's just bad, but the more you hear it and the more you allow it to permeate your brain cells, it changes you. The performances are even wackier, as they range from the fairly straightforward Michael Gold to the cartoony additions of two specific Cuban military officers, Manuel and Roberta. I guess that lessens the intensity of bad that the other characters exude, even the bad guy with questionable levels of Nazi behavior, despite there not being Nazis, or the term even being used in the movie. This whole movie has a mess of stereotypes just running around. You got your badass but slightly dickish spy guy, your feminine spy sidekick doing cool stuff for the first time while also being mildly annoying and whiny, your big bad guy who just loves evil, an old scientist who wants to use technology for good instead of inciting a world war, two knuckleheads always getting in the way, and a humorless boss and assistant with no personality.
Alyssa, I'm going to find your father.
That's if they don't kill you first.
That's my problem.
Yeah, well, it's my problem too if I help you.
Did he discuss his work with you?
No. We talked about birds and music. Life. Professor, please. Where's my father?
Lord. Skeleton. Look for.
I'm hot, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm thirsty, and I'm walking around in these high heels all day, and I have blisters on my feet.
Such a bitch.
The movie essentially is an espionage action flick with an international setting, but there's no indication of where things are or where anyone is going. It's almost like Michael Gold is running around a big city with wildly different surrounding landscapes, or the long hours of travel are just edited out for some reason. Hey, some people are afraid of planes, trains, and movies that show people traveling in planes and trains. It can be very stressful. Each travel scene, or lack of, or whatever, gives you the feeling of waking up from blacking out from a severe fit of narcolepsy. I love how some films offer new ideas and new experiences. Laser Mission is no exception here. So, Mr. Michael Gold negotiates a deal with his buff, bald American boss to get the scientist back after he gets shot on the beach by a crazy German.
I expect your cooperation, Professor.
Braun is perhaps the world's leading expert in laser weaponry, and his presence in the Kavango means that the Soviet bloc is planning some sort of laser mission.
What did he say? The Kavango? Where's my map? Bobby, get my map! I gotta find this place. Anything to help me figure out where we are in this movie. It's too bad this show is live and unedited, because it's gonna take a really long time. My god, I found it! I apologize to the listeners for leaving you hanging like that for an hour. Laser Mission does a terrible job of telling you where exactly our heroes are, but enough about maps. I want to talk at you about this wacky scene.
You man! What do you just see?
Who fell out of the tree?
Wrong! What do you just see?
Nada, El Capitan.
Correct. What is your name?
Manuel, El Capitan.
Manuel. I remember that name. Where's your sergeant, Manuel?
I am the sergeant.
What will you tell your superiors about all this?
Nada, El Capitan, nada.
Good work. Whose jeep is that?
Ours, we drove.
Whose jeep is that? What jeep? That's the right answer, hmm? You have potential, Manuel. You man! Take this off the jeep! Attention!
What we gonna do without our jeep?
What jeep, you loco?
Okay, I wouldn't call this the wackiest part of the movie, but it's the first sequence that really just shows you how off the rails the rest of this movie is gonna be. Michael Gold decides to start his next mission by parachute jumping into a Cuban military base in the Kavango, which I have learned is in Namibia. I don't know why they're there. There's no explanation. Let's just drop it. Now, this seems pretty cool. Like, he's going on an undercover mission. He has a disguise and everything. It's great and a little bit racist, but he has to do it for his country. Now, it would also be really cool if Michael Gold didn't, like, screw it up from the very beginning. That's right. He parachute jumps straight in the middle of the base, which means everybody saw him just parachute into the base. Even our dumbest characters notice it. I don't know if Michael knew that they were stupid, but he certainly puts them through the ringer as he uses his fake identity and fake rank to intimidate the other Cuban military officers. Michael Gold. What a guy! But seriously, Michael Gold has a pretty good Cuban accent. Everyone else kinda sucks at it.
What if we touch the wrong hombre?
They're gonna kill him anyway. And we get a reward. You gonna recognize this gold when you see him.
This isn't the only sequence of note. I could talk about the short scene between Professor Braun and his captor and his weird collection of shrunken heads, which would look impressively frightening if sent back in time to the good old days of 1950s double bill horror flicks. They're too cute to be scary. Or the part where the same captor fights Michael Gold and dies a hilarious pointy death, the weird scene in the desert where Michael and Alyssa meet a traveler camping that seems to know who they are and who's after them, but the character is forgotten and moved on from almost immediately after. I could talk about all these sequences, but I won't because that would be boring in the worst way. I may as well narrate the whole movie, but for all our sakes, I won't. Hold on. What time is it? Dang. Gotta wrap this all up before my totally unreasonable curfew. Anyway, Laser Mission is, even after all its faults, an enjoyable movie. For what it lacks in general competence, meaningful dialogue, and set design, to name a few, it totally makes up for with the entertainingly weird, meandering plot and gratuitous scene chewing. The sets may as well be made of bubblegum. I'm sorry. But the biggest scene chewer of them all, the evil Nazi-type guy, Eckhart, is the most fantastic of the bunch. I haven't talked much about him, mainly because you don't see him for that long, but he does deserve to be mentioned since he is the bad guy, and that's all he is, because his character is written as just the bad guy. It just so happens that he has a name, but it's only to serve the purpose of giving a human character in a movie a name to call them by. And it's because of this shallowness of a character that I'm really kinda done talking about him. So I'm really glad that Eckhart makes up for it by chewing on that scenery. I just really wish that we saw the last of Manuel and Roberta when we first saw them, but they keep stumbling back onto the set. What a way to break out in the world of cinema. In fact, they kept doing it, so they ended up getting their own subplot where they chase Michael Gold and fail, then get punished by serving hard time, breaking large rocks into smaller rocks, then break out somehow and decide they hate their boss more than they thought they hated Michael Gold. What happens next is one of the greatest final battle moments of an action movie ever. Michael Gold has to save the girl after she's been kidnapped by Eckhart in some desert base. So Michael chases Mr. Bad Guy into a cave where he has a gun trained on Alyssa. Good old-fashioned standoff.
Mexican standoff, huh? Like in the movies.
Shut up! Go! Go!
You kill me!
Whoa, Michael, wait! Oh. Okay. Well, after that, they run out to meet up with the professor because he's there. They also run into those two goofballs in their reclaimed Jeep. So they all drive away together. Happily ever after, except for the fact that Eckhart survived being shot like 12 times, falling down a cave, like through a cave. He fell down some rocks, and then he was standing on the inside of an explosion happening onto his body, but he's still alive. So they drive the Jeep right into him, pin him against a brick wall, and I guess that kills him? And so, for all intents and purposes, for Laser Mission, that is pretty much it, except for a twist ending that just makes watching the whole movie kind of pointless. But it's not pointless. The lady that Michael Gold thought he grabbed that was the professor's daughter was not who she said she was. She was actually a trained agent this whole time. But who cares? I didn't. The movie's over. If you wanted me to care, you should have put that twist a little further away from the ending. But whatever. It's Laser Mission.
What we gonna do without our Jeep? Out our Jeep? Out Jeep? Out.
What Jeep, you loco?
Attention!
I just dropped in to say bon appetit.
You have been listening to Hamburger Theater. This was a production by Andre Couture. All audio from the film is meant to aid in discussion and review of this movie. The movie I watched was Laser Mission, released in 1989, directed by Bo Davis, written by David A. Frank and Philip Gutteridge, starring Brandon Lee as Michael Gold, Debbie A. Monahan as Alyssa, Ernest Borgnine as Professor Braun. Hungry for more? Check out Hamburger Theater on Facebook at facebook.com/hamburgertheater. That's Hamburger, Theatre. And follow Hamburger Theater on Twitter at Burgerful Taste. That's Burger, F-U-L, Taste. Got a suggestion? Want to send me something weird? Send me an email at hamburgertheater@gmail. Maps are for suckers.